So what's the old saying? Practice makes perfect. Let's switch that up a little bit. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect permanent. And right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just practicing and I'm trying to perfect some of my skills. I'm always trying to learn. To be clear, we have fresh running water that is safe to drink. We're not under a boil water notice. But I just wanted to share with you some tips about the Sawyer squeeze. I brought this up the other day in one of my prep videos, and I wanted to go a little further in depth with this, show you how easy it is to use and a couple of warnings about it. There's just one warning. It just threads onto my hose bib outside. By the way, if you're a Gen Xer, you probably have fond memories of just drinking straight from the hose bib. I just thread that onto my hose bib, about hand tight, and turn the water on, and there we go. That is filtering water for me. Yeah, I've got a little squirt out the side here, but that's filtering my water, and this again removes all microplastics. It removes anything that's harmful to you down to Giardia, even though they can't state that. This is clean, safe drinking water, ready to go. But what about if you don't have running water? What's the backup? What's your backup for that? What's the emergency plan for when the water's not running? Let's go take a look at that. Monday at about 12 o'clock, I set out a landscaping bucket with a 55-gallon clear contractor's bag in it, tied down with some paracord. We got a lot of rain on Sunday and earlier Monday, so I didn't capture that rainfall, but I did record about 8 inches of rainfall between Monday at noon and after Milton passed through. So this water's just been sitting here for a couple of days now. Not safe to drink straight out of the bucket, but again, the Sawyer squeeze takes care of that for me. Now, we don't necessarily want to be drinking water from a clear contractor's bag, but in a survival situation, that's an okay thing. Again, reminder, the Sawyer squeeze does filter out microplastics. Now the water in here does have some plant debris in it. There's probably a couple dead bugs in there. I'm not worried about that. I've used this to drink water from the swamp and from running rivers and muddy puddles on the side of the road, and it works out great. So all I do is scoop down in with my CNOC bag and clip the top on, and you'll see that it's already running. There is a white cap that comes with this that you pop on there, but that's all I need to do is just let it run, and that will drip down, and I've got fresh, clean, safe drinking water. If I wanted it quicker, which is what I do when I'm hiking, I just roll the top down, squeeze it out, and that increases the pressure, saves you a little bit of time. But that's it. That will take out all the microplastics. It takes out all harmful bacteria, viruses, any sediment that might be in the water, and you've got fresh, clean drinking water. Good to go. Now let's take a look at the solar power system. The one important caveat about the Sawyer squeeze is that it will not endure a freeze. If you carry it in your car and there's a freeze warning, pull it out of the car. If it's in your basement, bring it up from the basement. Once it's frozen, it no longer filters. It is safe to travel and carry on luggage. Carry on luggage is not going to freeze. I flew with mine out to Colorado and Wyoming and back. They're perfectly fine in your carry-on luggage, but that's the only drawback to the Sawyer squeeze, is that it cannot freeze. So I've got a portable solar panel here. This is 120 watts. Generally, when you want to think about these kinds of things, figure about $1 a watt. You can pick these up on Amazon. $1 a watt, 120 watt panel, about $120 in that range. 150 watt panel is going to be at $150. This has a built-in USB hub on the back, so I can use this to charge my phones and my devices straight from the back. I don't need to run this to anything out there. It folds up, so it's nice and easy to store. Stick it in the garage. I use this car camping, and the sun's moved a little bit, so I'm just going to rearrange the setup, and there we go. Now, this is a 120 watt panel. You're not going to get 120 watts of output from these. The rated output, I'm not even sure how they come up with that number. Figure about 75 to 80% of that number is what you're actually going to get. It's a cloudy sky today, and I've been getting between 30 to 50 watts running to my Jackery. tells me over there on the Jackery how much power I'm getting from this. You're not going to get 150 watts out of a 150 watt panel. So when you think about that, if you're thinking, oh, if I get 10 of these, that's going to run my refrigerator, you need about 1,000 watts to run a refrigerator. No, you're going to need more than that, and I'm not even worried about running the refrigerator. We ate all the frozen food yesterday, so it doesn't bother me that the power's out. But again, about 75%. I'll get 70 to 90 watts on a clear day with this thing, which charges me up and keeps me going. And this is connected to my Jackery over here. So let's pop over there and take a closer look at the Jackery battery backup. All right, so we've got the Jackery Explorer 300 watts of power, again about $1 a watt. Figure these are going to be around $300. You can pick them up on sale and special for less than that. But a 300 water keeps me going on quite a few different things. Right now, I'm up to about 70 watts. The clouds are scudding by, so I'm up to about 70 watts input, and I'm outputting 50 watts of power. That reads out on the screen here. I've got 61% battery power remaining. Once I'm finished charging and I pull all this stuff off, the Jackery will finish charging up for the rest of the day, and I'll have power to run the aquarium filter for a bit. When I go car camping, I use this, charge it up fully during the day, and then overnight it runs my CPAP machine. It's got just enough charge on it to keep my CPAP running all night long, so that's awesome. Right now I'm charging a 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and 20,000 milliamp battery brick. So I've got several different battery bricks to power the phones and the flashlights and all the other devices, keep the kids up and running, so that, and myself, so that we've got some entertainment while we're sitting here doing a whole lot of nothing. It does have 2 AC power outlets, so you can run a fan, a light. You could run your laptop off this. I could run my desktop computer off this if I wanted to. Not sure how long that would last for. Quite a while, I would think. But you've got AC power ports here, so you can run your AC power. You've got USB-B and USB-C power outlets. I'm trying to make an effort to go with USB-C on everything so that all my cables are interchangeable and I don't have to worry about proprietary cables. I do like the Anchor system of charging. I've got Anchor power bricks here to run. This one will run my laptop and it will run everything else. So I do like Anchor, and I've got Anchor power bricks here. This is a 10,000 milliamp. That'll charge my phone and a tablet a couple of times. This one's a larger 20,000 milliamp. That'll keep things going for quite a bit more. And then these things right here are MagSafe chargers, so you can just pop your phone onto the charger and it'll start charging up once it's popped on there, and you turn it on. It's not going right now because it's plugged in charging, but that just pops on. Oh, there we go. Now the phone's charging while the brick is charging. And then flip it over on the other side and I can charge my Apple Watch on this side. So I used this when I was hiking in Colorado and Wyoming, and it kept both my phone and my watch charged up at all times. Then I've got my iPad mini over here that I'm charging and watching YouTube on, and that's plugged into here. And then I've got some headlights. I'm going to start with the Night Core. I like this little guy. It's super lightweight. It's easy to throw in a backpack and go around. It's easy to throw in your nightstand, and you've always got a headlamp. This one is USB-C, so again, I'm trying to be consistent across the board with USB-C for everything. This is a great little headlamp. It's got plenty of power on it. This is my workhorse. This is the LED lenser. This one does have a proprietary charging cable. That's the only drawback to this one, is it is proprietary. I wish it was USB-C, but this thing is a workhorse. It has a low light setting, which is more than sufficient for most uses, and then it has a high beam setting that is absolutely brilliant. I was out the other night and it lit up the entire yard. That's kind of important because in those sort of emergency situations where you need a lot of light wherever you're working, this thing will put that out. It also has a red light setting. Both of these have red light settings so that you can run the red light when you're walking around the house. You can still see, but you're not blinding the person that you're walking into. I know in Cub Scouting, when these started to become really popular, all the kids were walking around, they'd sit there and stare at you and blind you with those. So I use the red lights when I'm walking around, and then I use the white light when I need it for work. Those kinds of things. Keep a couple of headlights, again, USB-C if possible. I've got my isobutane stove. Again, start small, just pick a couple of these up, 1 or 2 at a time. As you go to the big box store, you can pick them up at Walmart for $8 to $10. This is my 15-year-old MSR pocket rocket. This was about $75 15 years ago when I bought it, and I have used this ever since, and I absolutely love it. You can pick up a generic one of these on Amazon for about 22 bucks, and they work great. Those things are wonderful. I stick with this because I've had it. So I've got plenty of fuel and ways to cook. I use a titanium cook pot. I don't like the tin ones, you know, the old like Cub Scout mess kit. Those things tend to ding up really fast. So I've used this one for about 10 years now, and it's got water in it right now. I'd show you inside. But I use this to boil my water for coffee, and when I do my coffee, I just pull the filter thing. Whoop, a little bit of coffee still in there. I pull the filter thing out of the coffee maker inside. I put the paper filter in there, put the coffee in, set it on top of my cup, and then I've got a good cup of fresh hot coffee. I use this to cook vegetables. I had some cream of wheat this morning for breakfast in there. And then over here I've got my electrolyte mixes to put in the water, both for flavor and electrolytes. Very, very, very important, especially when you're out working. You are sweating off all your electrolytes. Water alone isn't going to do it. You need to replace those. So get yourself some Gatorade. I happen to like the Mountain Ops Ignite because it's got 95 milligrams of caffeine. And then I've got some smaller ones that, actually these ones are pretty cool. This one you can just open this up and just slam it like a, you don't even need to put it in your water, just slam it in your mouth and you're good to go. So that's my basic kit. And again, start small, build up over time. Neither of my gas generators is working right now. I spent about 5 hours trying to repair the carburetors, and I've given up on those. I won't be worrying about gas power generators in the future. I'll be moving to solar. You can get these up to household size. They're fairly expensive, but they do come up to household size. I'm not worried about running the refrigerator. Refrigerator is going to draw about 1,000 watts, and we ate the frozen food, and everything else is, you know, that's going in the garbage. So I'm not worried about that. This keeps me going. It keeps my CPAP going. It keeps the phones, the tablets. You can run a laptop off there, as I said. That'll keep you going. Pick up a solar panel. Just pick up a piece at a time and build up your kit slowly over time. That's what I've done. I mean, some of this equipment, this piece is 15 years old. I've got stuff that I use that's 25 years old, and it's still running, still working. So I hope those tips helped out. That's just my kit, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just practicing some of those skills. Thanks, guys.